Today I'm going to talk about how to get your electronic drums even quieter, whether you're shopping or you already have an electronic drum set right now. That's coming up. What's up guys, Justin Greenwald here. Welcome to 65 Drums. This is the place to keep on top of all things e-drum related, so consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Today I'm talking about quiet electronic drums. Now you probably already bought an electronic drum set with the goal in mind of trying to have a quiet drumming experience. You got sick and tired of how freaking loud acoustic drums are. Even if you spend the cash to get an electronic drum set, either as a practice kit or as your full drum set, you're still gonna face volume issues. There are all kinds of people that thought they were doing their neighbors a solid by finally getting an electronic drum set, and then they get it and the neighbors are still complaining. And they're like, guys, I spent $1,000 just to make you happy and you're still complaining. Thank goodness you saw this video because I'm gonna help you get your electronic drums a little bit quieter than they used to be. Let's talk about the loudest playing surfaces first. If you're using acoustic drum materials, it's gonna be louder than electronic drum materials. What the heck does that even mean? Let's say you bought an old Loudest drum set. You're still hitting an acoustic drum head with a stick. There's a lot of foam, but that doesn't fix the problem. It's still really loud. In fact, Loudest got so many complaints that they switched to mesh drum heads. Let's talk about a different playing surface. Metal cymbals. We all love metal cymbals, so of course the best thing to do is buy electronic metal cymbals because they're quiet and they're electronic. But you gotta weigh, is the volume worth it? Because metal electronic cymbals are still loud. I was shocked the first time I played an Loudest Surge cymbal, how quiet it was. It blew my mind, but at the same time, it's still louder than a rubber cymbal. There's a lot of dampening techniques different companies use, and I've heard one company claim if you take a decibel meter, it's the exact same volume as a rubber cymbal. I don't know if that's true for every metal electronic cymbal. Just be careful, if you're going for quiet, don't buy a metal cymbal. It's just not the best plan. If you're looking for metal cymbals, there are quite a few options. You've got the Surge cymbals, Loudest, you got Pearly Classics, you got Joe Becky, you got Field, and there's a few other companies out there as well. Just go search around. But if you're going for quiet, generally it's a safe bet that rubber cymbals will be a lot quieter. Those are like the obvious things in this video I wanted to clear out of the way first. Let's go over to the most quiet playing surfaces out there. I feel like the most quiet playing surfaces I've played personally are the Yamaha Silicone DTX pads. You can actually go on the internet and watch a comparison in volume between Yamaha silicone pads versus their older style rubber pads. And there is a very big volume difference. Like if you play a Yamaha pad in person, you realize what I'm talking about. They do a great job of getting at least the drums as quiet as possible. So they're a great option if you're going for really, really quiet drums. I definitely take a close look at them. Now, as far as mesh drums go, here's what you need to remember. The lighter the mesh drum head you're using, the quieter the drumming will be. So take something like this. This is a 1-ply pearl mesh drum head. This thing is a lot quieter than a 3-ply mesh drum head. Where is it? There it is. The thicker the mesh drum head, the louder it will be. Here's where you gotta be careful. Just because something is 3-ply and something is 2-ply doesn't mean the 3-ply mesh drum head is necessarily thicker and louder. Sometimes, like a 2-ply mesh drum head can be thicker than a 3-ply mesh drum head. For example, my Heart Dynamics black mesh drum head I use a lot in some of my older videos, that thing is actually a pretty thick drum head and there's a decent amount of volume coming out of it. Later I'll have to do some sort of comparison of the exact volume from each different mesh drum head brand I'm using. But another thing to realize is that the size of the drum shell makes a difference as well. I feel like bigger drum shells can be a little bit louder. On top of all this, what really makes a difference is when you hit the rim of the drum. Mesh drums, they're pretty quiet if you just play on the mesh and you don't do any sort of rim shots. When you start hitting the rim, that's when the real volume starts to happen. But even if you have a rubber rim on it, whether it's a really thin one like this Go E-Drum rubber rim or a thick one like the ones on Roland pads, they are very loud. It's a big contributor to E-drum volume. I've also noticed that cymbals are pretty loud. This is one of the loudest surfaces in an electronic drum set, and unfortunately, I don't have some magical brand that I've played that just has incredibly quiet cymbals. All electronic cymbals are loud. And again, it's about how hard you play as well. That makes a drastic difference. I'll talk about that in a second. Sorry to say, I don't know any solution to this. Electronic cymbals are just loud. Let's talk about the kick drum, because this might be the main culprit for a lot of people, especially if you're playing your drum set on like the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth floor and like an apartment or something. A lot of people struggle with this. If you're wondering what's the big deal about your kick drum, it's the fact that you're using the biggest muscles in your body to hit the kick drum. Your leg muscles are way bigger than your forearms, unless you always skip leg day. They're just a lot bigger, so there's a lot more power when you're hitting that kick drum beater into your mesh drum head. There's only 3 things I know of that you can do to solve the volume problem with your kick drum. Buy a thinner mesh drum head. It really does help with the volume. The next thing you could do is go buy a special noise absorbing kick drum beater. I've seen some from Cat Percussion. I know there's some European electronic drum manufacturers that also sell kick drum beaters. I'll try to put some options up on the screen right now. But those sort of absorb the impact in and of themselves. That helps, but it doesn't solve the volume issue. The last thing you can do is buy or build some sort of noise absorbing platform. These platforms trap a lot of the vibration and reduces it by around 70 or 75% before it reaches your neighbor's ears, the floor below you. I've linked up a couple of great videos on this topic in the description below if you want to go in depth on how to build your own platform, or check out some reviews of like the Roland Noise Eaters, little platforms that sit underneath your kick drum pedals that really help reduce volume of your kick drum. Okay, I've got one last thing to talk about before I end this video, and no one wants to hear this, but I gotta say it anyway. I was watching a Drumeo video once, great channel if you haven't checked it out yet, and the Yamaha rep was there with his Yamaha DTX 950K. Great drum set, kind of overpriced, but great drum set. He was going into all the crazy capabilities of that drum set, and he mentioned something that really caught my attention. He said, "Guys keep asking me about electronic drum volume." And basically what he was saying was, in the end, you're still hitting an object with a stick as hard as you can. If you just play at the same volume as you would play an acoustic drum set, electronic drums would be a lot quieter. We're tempted to play louder when we're playing E-drums because volume supposedly isn't an issue, but it actually still is an issue. So you don't have to play full throttle all the time. Back it up a little bit, play it like a normal volume, and that will help your overall E-drum volume. Again, sometimes we try playing louder because we have all this freedom, and then we end up annoying the very people we were trying to appease when we bought the electronic drum set in the first place. Now, I've said a lot of different things in this video. Let me do a quick summary here. If you already have a mesh drum set and you're having volume issues, people are complaining, start by buying some 1-ply mesh drum heads. I don't like them as much. I think they're slightly less fun to play, but they do help with the overall volume. Also, try putting on rubber rims if you don't have them already, and try hitting the rim shot a little softer, because that is a big contributor to overall volume. It all comes back to you. If you don't hit it with the stick as hard, it's not going to be as loud. The next thing is, if you're in the market for an electronic drum set and volume is like top of mind and you're really worried about having a very, very quiet drum set, go look at a drum set from Yamaha with those DTX silicone pads. They're the white ones. Those are really, really quiet drum sets, and they're definitely worth a look if that's what your main goal is. If you know that in your particular situation, the kick drum is the real culprit and you really need to reduce that volume somehow, try with a lighter mesh drum head, get a drum beater that absorbs volume like that Cat Percussion drum beater or any of those other products from out in Europe. They really help. And then also try some of those Roland products that you put underneath your kick drum pedals. Those absorb a lot of volume. And again, I've got a review linked up from another channel in the description below. Hope you found this video useful or interesting. I'm coming out with new videos all the time, so consider subscribing and pressing that bell icon so you don't miss out on any of the new ones. Hope you guys have an awesome day. See you in a few.